It's been over 21 years since then 23-year-old British chef Jamie Oliver's game-changing cooking show, The Naked Chef, debuted on BBC Two in England, before crossing the pond to air on the Food Network. While it may be a lifetime in chef show years since The Naked Chef made its mark, some fans still wonder why Oliver's uber-popular program disappeared into the ether at the close of 2001. But in order to understand why Oliver parted ways with the show that launched his career, we need to take stock of his life and career. For the uninitiated, there was nothing remotely naked about the wunderkind chef who won the hearts of viewers, particularly women, from the get-go. The show's provocative title, according to Now to Love, referred to Oliver's style of preparing stripped-down dishes with superlative flavor and minimum effort, something of a revelation for its time. Viola Davis has emerged as one of the most important and influential working actresses today, thanks to her mastery of many performance mediums and her transcendent style choices, as well as her compelling awards season and awareness speeches. The recipes might have had a modicum of ingredients, but they didn't lack personality. After all, they were concocted by Winsome Oliver, a chef with charm to spare. Let's dig into the real reason why The Naked Chef was cancelled. Jamie Oliver was an overnight success story after working as a kid at his parents' pub, in Clavering, Essex, England, and attending Westminster Catering College. Jamie Oliver eventually landed a job as a sous chef for the River Café, the famed Italian restaurant in London. Davis has come a long way since her difficult youth, and while her rise to Hollywood fame and acclaim might seem meteoric, she spent many years quietly slaying her way to the top until she got her long-overdue big-screen breakthrough. Here's a look back at the stunning transformation of Viola Davis. Growing up fast, Viola Davis has shared a lot of tough truths about her youth over the years, and, in hearing her personal history, it's not hard to understand why the actress oozes such natural resilience in her work. Davis was born on a former plantation in St. The Australian news site, news.com.au, notes that one day, a colleague called in sick, and Oliver, who had the day off, took his place. Matthews, South Carolina, in a home that had no running water. It turned out to be a date with destiny, for who should turn up in the kitchen but a BBC television team, on site to shoot the 1997 documentary, Christmas at the River Café. He was part of the kitchen team, but never mind, Oliver's singular charisma was apparent to the late Patricia Llewellyn, the producer behind the British sensation, Two Fat Ladies. Her mother was a maid, her father was a horse trainer, and Davis was the fifth of 6 children in the family. Convinced of his appeal, she spent almost a year persuading BBC higher-ups that the shaggy blonde boy chef deserved his own show. Contract signed, cool East London flat rented as the backdrop, they were ready to roll. The Davis clan relocated to Central Falls, Rhode Island shortly after her birth, suffering through extreme poverty throughout her early life. She told the crowd at Variety's Power of Women luncheon in 2014, "Although my childhood was filled with many happy memories, it was also spent in abject poverty. I was one of the 17 million kids in this country who didn't know where the next meal was coming from, and I did everything to get food. I've stolen for food, I've jumped in huge garbage bins with maggots for food. I have befriended people in the neighborhood who I knew had mothers who cooked 3 meals a day for food." A concept soon emerged that allowed Oliver to relax and chat with Llewellyn while slicing, dicing, and prepping meals on camera. "And I sacrificed a childhood for food, and grew up in immense shame." Because of her first-hand experience with destitution, Davis has since become a vocal advocate for Hunger as, an organization that provides breakfast to millions of children in need. Inspired to shine despite her inauspicious beginnings, Viola Davis's ambition to act came along early in her life when she witnessed Cicely Tyson's Emmy-winning title performance in the autobiography of Jane Pittman in 1974. She told Dallas WFAA-8 news station, "I saw that performance in the midst of that apartment that was infested with rats and had no plumbing and no telephone. It was literally like the birds stopped chirping. She walked into my heart, and I had that physical manifestation of a dream." Given her precarious circumstances, it may have been easy for Davis to chalk up her ambition as unachievable, but her sister encouraged her to aspire for the performing arts programs in her area, saying, "You have to decide right now what you want to be because that's the only way you are not going to be poor." Davis eventually achieved a degree in theatre at Rhode Island College in 1988 and then attended the prestigious Juilliard School, from which she graduated in 1993. Or zip around town on his Vespa, in search of fresh veggies, or slide down the banister, to let his friends in the door. The Naked Chef first aired in April, 1999, and in just a few months, audiences literally ate it up. In a heartbeat he had a book in the works and a supermarket endorsement. She's since gotten to share the screen with Tyson, whose performance inspired her career path so many years before. Not only did they work together on The Help 2011, but they actually co-starred several times in Davis's hit TV drama How to Get Away with Murder, after Davis convinced producers to hire Tyson to portray her mother on the show. Taking the stage before her film and television accolades started pouring in, Viola Davis's earliest esteem came from her work in theater. She first starred in the 1996 Broadway production of Seven Guitars before taking on several off-Broadway productions, one of which would add the first trophy to her display shelf. She won an Obie Award in 1999 for her work as the title character in Everybody's Ruby and was also nominated for a Tony Award for that performance. Perhaps it all came too fast, too soon. The Naked Chef's early viewership caused some problems with his affable personality, playful patter, and iconic catchphrases like "wicked," "lovely jubbly," and "puckatuka," used with abandon while talking about his recipes, and later ditched, says the Daily Mail, because he even found them annoying at a certain point. Oliver easily wormed his way into his audience's heart. Women especially were drawn to the chef and the show, but it wasn't always win-win with the menfolk. Oliver claims that in the early days of his career, he suffered lots of abuse from men, reports the British tabloid, The Sun. After that, Davis's work on stage began to dominate. In the first 2 years of his acclaim, the Naked Chef years, Oliver said that men were so angry with him that they chased and punched him a few times. Why was he a punching bag? Apparently, at the time, couples would come home from work dog-tired, and when men asked their wives or girlfriends what was for dinner, the women took umbrage. They weren't having it. And rightly so. Jamie is quoted as saying to The Sun, "She soon nabbed the role of Tanya in the 2001 Broadway production of King Hedley II, a role which would earn her a Tony Award for Best Featured Actress in a Play that year." After watching him cook on television, women tried to convince their partners that it was their turn to man the stove, and the men were supposedly infuriated. Did that simmering controversy possibly light the fuse for the Naked Chef's cancellation? Jamie Oliver's relationship with a British grocery store chain displeased the BBC. In her book, Pop Culture in Europe, author Juliana Savetkova writes that at the time BBC Two aired The Naked Chef, the channel was creating television that captured the dream of leading a high-quality lifestyle. Jamie Oliver's show, with its hip pad and Vespa adventures, met the criteria, plus he made home cooking seem accessible to everyone. The show worked its magic until the end of 2001, when, according to Savetkova, BBC Two cancelled it, because Oliver refused to dissolve his contract with Sainsbury's. At the same time, her screen career was just beginning to lift off, as well. Big screen beginnings. While it would take years for Viola Davis's formidable screen presence to receive as much recognition and reverence as her stage work, she earned her Screen Actors Guild membership card right around the same time she was getting started on the Broadway circuit. The actress revealed to TV Insider that her first cinematic role was a one-day appearance in The Substance of Fire 1996 as nurse. "I had to pass Timothy Hutton a vial of blood, and I got paid $518. Oliver had made a deal with the supermarket chain, and went on to appear, over 11 years, in over 100 TV advertising campaigns. "I did my first take and thought, oh my god, that was so easy," she remembered. According to BBC News, he became a brand ambassador who could convert mundane items into mega sellers. Another BBC News story says that Oliver's contract expired in December 2001, and he wasn't up for another season of The Naked Chef. Instead, Oliver was trying to negotiate a new series, Oliver's Army, with Oliver training unemployed young adults in a London eatery, but contract talks broke down, and BBC Two dropped him. The BBC's guidelines also disapproved of on-screen stars forging commercial tie-ins, such as advertising deals. "I started taking off my wardrobe and they said, 'You're not done.' I said, "This is going to be hard work for $518, you got more money?" But it was fabulous. I thought I had made it. Small screen start Viola Davis's television career began to take flight after that as well, with her landing small roles in series like NYPD Blue and New York Undercover in 1996. After a series of cameo parts and TV movie roles, Davis landed her first recurring part in the 2000 CBS medical drama City of Angels, in which she starred again as a nurse. At the time, Oliver wasn't the only family member shilling for Sainsbury's. His mother, father, grandmother, and wife, Jules aka Jules, had joined the Sainsbury's party. Did BBC Two drop Oliver because of his Sainsbury's contract, or had Oliver had enough? Either way, The Naked Chef show was over. Jamie Oliver started writing cookbooks. The Naked Chef was cancelled. Nevertheless, the brand had already taken on another life, as a cookbook series. Although the hospital-centric series would be short-lived, the show would impact her life forevermore. It was the set on which she would meet her eventual husband, Julius Tennant. As she recalled to People, the two first connected after doing a scene together and hitting craft services for a bagel. Perhaps Jamie Oliver had been itching to try a new medium. He was like, "Hey," because we had just done a scene. And if he was casting about for a new challenge, this might have been it. The only thing I thought was, he's good looking. He's really good looking. Who knew a bagel bar would be such a matchmaking hotspot? Call it a holy union. Breaking out with doubt. Although Viola Davis had certainly proven her merits by this time, she would become a household name in 2008 with her masterful performance alongside Meryl Streep, Philip Seymour Hoffman, and Amy Adams in Doubt. Davis's work in the film would earn her not only a slew of nominations and wins, including her first Oscar nod for Best Supporting Actress, but it also established her as a force majeure in films, on par with some rather formidable castmates. Streep, in particular, was taken by Davis's talents, lapping praise on her co-star at Davis's Walk of Fame ceremony in January 2017, saying, "Viola Davis is possessed. She is possessed to the blazing, incandescent power." After all, Oliver had severe dyslexia, which had dogged him since his school days. In her book, titled Jamie Oliver, author Stephanie Watson says that Oliver wound up partnering with an editor to write The Naked Chef cookbook. Oliver supplied the creative ideas, while his editor helped with the writing. Their target audience, amateur cooks. She is arguably the most immediate, responsive artist I have ever worked with. Published in 2000, it wound up selling over 1 million copies worldwide. In talking to Get the Gloss about his 2017 cookbook, 5 Ingredients, Quick and Easy Food, Oliver waxes nostalgic about that first effort, saying, "I looked at the Naked Chef book the other day and I was 23, I was a baby, I was a special needs kid from school. It's still a good book, I still tested every recipe. She's so alive, she glistens. As naive and inexperienced as I was, I knew that the public had to be given something that worked. She plants herself in a scene where she has no words and she writes paragraphs with her eyes. And that book went crazy. 20 books later I'm still as excited and I'm still learning." Obviously that initial endeavor wasn't the end of his Naked Chef chapter. She's a force of nature, and she's the most generous, present person I know. Oliver published sequels in quick succession, including The Return of the Naked Chef and Happy Days with the Naked Chef, and even launched a line of cookware. The Naked Chef book tour ate up a chunk of his time, and if his TV show hadn't made him a household name, then his cookbooks and various other ventures certainly bumped up his visibility. Even Tony Blair knew who the Naked Chef was. Jamie Oliver was personally invited to 10 Downing Street to cook for the then Prime Minister and dignitaries. With the cookbooks now in the hands of his audience, it was time to do a book tour. It's possible that those first few years on television had made him eager to meet his adoring public, face to face. She has earned every step on the ladder to the leadership position she now enjoys in this business. Considering they had only worked together in a single film, Davis really must have made an impact on her co-star. The Food Network says that Oliver launched his Happy Days tour in the fall of 2001. Perhaps even more importantly, Davis also made a lasting impression on audiences, while enjoying a serious uptick in starring role opportunities. Championing another cause in 2010, Viola Davis appeared in David Schwimmer's Trust, about a young girl who is sexually assaulted by an online predator. The movie was built upon Schwimmer's years-long affiliation with the Rape Foundation, the founder of which was portrayed by Davis in the movie. The beloved chef was so in demand that over 17,000 people jammed into UK theatres for a chance to see him in the flesh.
But he wasn't just a sensation on home turf. The experience of starring in that film, as well as her own real-life experiences with sexual assault, inspired Davis to become an advocate for the organization. She told attendees of a fundraiser for the organization, via CBS News, "Myself, my mother, my sisters, my friend Rebecca, my friend from childhood, we all have something in common. We are all survivors of sexual assault in some shape or form." She then shared the harrowing story of how her own sister Danielle was assaulted at just 8 years old by a habitual assailant whose punishment was minimal. Oliver then made his way to Australia and New Zealand. Oliver not only hosted cooking shows in bookstores and theatres for sold-out crowds in 7 cities. According to Publishers Weekly, he also sat behind a drum kit and performed for audiences. Turns out that the chef is passionate about drumming, too. And that her sister had, perhaps as a consequence, suffered a life of addiction and prostitution. The organization provides medical, counseling, and legal services to victims of sexual crimes. Davis delivered a powerful speech on their behalf, saying, "Via people, living out loud is not playing Annelise Keating on How to Get Away with Murder, it's not being Amanda Waller in Suicide Squad, it's not getting an Oscar. Living out loud is living a life that's bigger than yourself. Living out loud is long after you're gone. And trust me, everyone in this room, you're going to be dead a lot longer than you're alive. Even if you live to be 100 years old, you leave something on this earth that's bigger than yourself. And that's a big message in this town." Bearing her real hair in 2012, while Viola Davis was making her second round on the major movie awards circuit for her work in The Help 2011, she decided to bear even more of her true self to fans by ditching her traditional wigs and showing off her natural hairstyle on the red carpet. Although her friend and former co-star Meryl Streep went home with the trophy that night for her work in The Iron Lady, Davis remained a stone-cold winner for her inspiring au naturel look, and she would default to that look on many occasions afterward as well. The decision to skip the wig, she told InStyle, came at the suggestion of her husband. Hello magazine reveals that he started playing in rock bands when he was a teenager, back when he started dating his wife, Jules. Jamie Oliver wanted to turn disadvantaged youths into successful chefs. While Jamie Oliver wasn't able to interest the BBC Two in Oliver's army, he was still able to move forward with the concept of helping underprivileged kids get a leg up in the food world. Encyclopaedia Britannica says that in 2002, Oliver set up the 15 Foundation, a London-based venture that gave young apprentices from underprivileged backgrounds the chance to experience the food industry firsthand at the chef's training restaurant, 15. It foretold Oliver's future in a way, for it gave him a platform, like so many subsequent projects, to educate pupils and the public, and give back to those in need. 15 was also the subject matter of Channel 4's 5-part documentary series, called Jamie's Kitchen, which showed the evolution of the project, as Oliver put his energy into shaping the aspiring group into chefs. "My husband wanted me to take the wig off," she explained to the magazine. "He said, if you want to wear it for your career, that's fine, but in your life wear your hair." The chef went on to launch the 15 project throughout the UK and in other locations overseas. A social impact report released in 2018 by the Jamie Oliver Group says that together with its successor, 15 Cornwall, which opened in 2006 as a franchise, the 15 concept trained more than 500 apprentices, readying them for a career in the food world. Jamie Oliver was determined to improve lives through food. Starting with children in the years to follow, Jamie Oliver made great strides in his attempts to change the status quo and raise awareness about the need for healthy food. Step into who you are. It's a powerful statement. Not only was it powerful and exhilarating to witness, but it would also inform some of her most pivotal career moves going forward. Murder in Shondaland. Given her ascension into Hollywood ubiquity, it was only a matter of time before Viola Davis would land her own starring role on the small screen as well, and what a role it was. Davis was tapped to headline Shonda Rhimes' suspense drama How to Get Away with Murder, happily accepting the role on one condition: that she be able to shed the wig once again onscreen at some point during the series. She did so in the 4th episode of the inaugural season, when she slowly wiped away a meticulously designed facade of hair and makeup in front of the cameras. Davis told For Your Consideration audiences in 2015, via Vulture, "Before I got the role, I said, it seems feasible that Oliver's mission of helping and teaching others took root way back in the Naked Chef years, when he talked up the merits of fresh food and simple preparations. I'm not gonna do this unless I can take my wig off." Davis added that she'd grown weary of the television scene always showing women in a certain, fixed-up light and that she wanted to make sure her portrayal accurately represented a no-makeup reality for women. "I wanted to see a real woman on TV. I wanted to see who we are before we walk out the door in the morning and put on the mask of acceptability." Even though The Naked Chef was cancelled, those ideas kept growing. In the television series, Jamie's School Dinners, which aired in 2005, he took on school cafeterias in the UK, revealing the subpar standards of the meals served. In the book, Education, Disordered Eating and Obesity Discourse, Fat Fabrications by John Evans, Emma Rich, Brian Davies, Rachel Allwood, the authors divulge that Oliver took responsibility for helming school meals at Kidbrooke School, London, for an entire year. It felt like who Annelise was in private had to be diametrically opposed to who she was in public. The book goes on to say that Oliver began a campaign to raise the standard of all the meals served by Britain's schools, winning both public awareness and a pledge from the government to beef up its spending on school dinners by £280 million over the course of 3 years. Channel 4's Political Awards named Oliver the most inspiring political figure of 2005. That same year, he took home UK's National Television Award for Best Factual Programme, Jamie's School Dinners, and a Special Recognition Award. Jamie Oliver wanted to address political and ethical issues. Jamie Oliver may have left The Naked Chef behind because he just had much bigger aspirations. And so in order to do that, I felt like I had to physically take the wig off. After it was cancelled, he hosted several shows, many with tie-in cookbooks, and campaigns that tackled issues closest to his heart. For me, that simple act really surmounted to something very powerful in the end, because what it was someone being very, very private in public, which is absolutely the cornerstone of what we do as artists. Here Comes the Bride again. Viola Davis and her husband, Julius Tennant, have been married 3 times. In 2007, that theme of fresh produce from the Naked Chef days surfaced once again in Jamie at Home, a show revolving around urban gardening. In 2008, chicken dinners preoccupied the chef. They were originally married in 2003, at which time she wore a simple express skirt to her ceremony. In the documentary, Jamie's Fowl Dinners, he shines a spotlight on the cruelty of intensely farmed chickens, pleading with consumers and retailers to buy chickens raised under more caring conditions. According to InStyle, they then renewed their vows, not once, but twice. The second vow renewal ceremony in 2016 was a much more high-profile event than the former one. "I wanted an experience of feeling alive." The Daily Mail relays that he actually electrocutes a chicken on screen, in an effort to show how the birds are slaughtered. Jamie's Food Revolution, which aired in the States, in 2010, revisited the topic of healthy school meals and eating habits in Huntington, West Virginia, which has been called the unhealthiest city in America, and in 2011, the show headed to Los Angeles. A few years later, he created Food Revolution Day, a yearly global celebration of food education and from-scratch home cooking. And in the 2015 documentary, Sugar Rush, he goes head-to-head with the sweet stuff. There's no better way to feel what life is truly about than the birth of a child and getting married to someone you love, really love. Describing the documentary, The Independent says that Oliver delves into advertising campaigns for sugar-packed foods and drinks, the amount of sugar that's in so-called healthy food items, and the impact of type 2 diabetes, among other diseases, noting that he has a categoric belief in a sugar tax. The British government listened, introducing the soft drinks industry levy in 2016, and implementing it in 2018. Jamie Oliver wanted to build an empire, but the empire fell flat. Jamie Oliver wasn't just a TV star, cookbook author, and Tony Blair whisperer. It's a reminder. He was also a chef with restaurant clout. A wake-up. After his training restaurant, 15, Oliver opened Jamie's Italian, in 2008, followed by Barbacoa and other chains. "My career is about success, but my marriage and my life is about significance," she explained of her decision to re-wed Tennant, with whom she shares daughter Genesis, born in 2011. In addition to having an A-list guest list, including Oprah Winfrey and her HTGAWM co-stars, she also stunned in a luxuriously custom Carmen Marc Volvo gown that she described as ideal for her body type because, it accentuates my waist.
According to the New York Times, they were always jam-packed, and at the apex of his career, he served 7.5 million meals a year and employed 4,500 people. The past few years, the chickens have come home to roost for the Naked Chef. It's dramatic, timeless, and romantic. The New York Times says that Oliver was faced with multiple obstacles, from taxes and climbing prices of ingredients and rent to opening restaurants in gentrifying areas without foot traffic. And then, with the advent of Brexit, in 2016, the pound's value plummeted. Some critics said he was overextended, while others said his food and service were lacking. I wanted something that made a statement when I walked in the room but also that didn't look like I was trying too hard. Little Genesis wore her own white designer gown to match her parents', too. Today, she's a symbol of hope for Viola Davis's return to the awards circuit in early 2017 for her stunning work in Fences, a film adaptation of the August Wilson play in which she also starred alongside Denzel Washington in 2010 and won a Tony Award. She opted for an optimistic visual appeal that was meant to send a positive message to her supporters and brighten up the political climate of now. Her stylist Elizabeth Stewart told The New York Times that by choosing vibrantly colored and playful red carpet attire like the aqua Michael Kors gown she wore to the Critics' Choice Awards and the yellow gown she donned to accept her Best Supporting Actress win at the 2017 Golden Globe Awards, she wanted to be a symbol of hope in dark times and wanted to be strong, simple, and bold. Davis's aesthetic, while meaningful, is also not fussy, according to Stewart. Regardless, the bottom fell out. The Jamie Oliver Restaurant Group went into administration, a form of bankruptcy protection, in May, 2019. It's estimated that Oliver owed creditors close to £83 million, even though he had tried to salvage the situation, ponying up £15 million of his own money. With no new investor in sight, he closed or sold all 25 of his restaurants, and let go of over 1,000 employees. And it was 15's end that hurt the most, he told The New York Times. She likes fitted, clean and graphic, there's not a lot of agonizing over choices with Viola. Sounds like Davis doesn't have to be a diva to be fabulous. In 2017, Viola Davis won her first Academy Award. Viola Davis finally received the recognition long due to her in 2017, when she accepted the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress for her work in the critically lauded film Fences. "That was the hardest thing I've ever had to do," he said of the closing. "Just terrible. Awful. But Jamie Oliver has the ability to bounce back, but all is not lost." Previously she'd been nominated for the same category for her work in Doubt alongside Meryl Streep and Philip Seymour Hoffman and for the category of Best Actress in a Leading Role for her starring role in The Help. Jamie Oliver is, as he was, back in the nascent days of The Naked Chef, and beyond, resilient. Oliver may not be operating his own chains of restaurants, but he has plenty of opportunities to stay in the public eye, and they'll no doubt keep on multiplying. The staff canteen says that going forward, he plans to focus on the things he does best. But 2017 was her first time receiving an Oscar. Davis dazzled as she accepted the Oscar, taking the time to tearfully praise the acting profession for treasuring the importance of storytelling. He became health ambassador for the giant supermarket chain, Tesco. His social media is on fire, with over 8 million Instagram followers, more than 5 million YouTube subscribers, and a TV audience of about 67 million. And he's still battling the issues that mean the most to him. "I became an artist, and thank God I did, because we are the only profession that celebrates what it means to live a life," she proclaimed in her acceptance speech. She also praised her co-star, the legendary Denzel Washington. Davis closed the speech by celebrating her family who were in the audience that night. "You teach me every day how to live, how to love," she continued. His 2030 project aims to halve childhood obesity in the UK by, you guessed it, the year 2030. "I'm so glad that you are the foundation of my life." Viola Davis bid farewell to Annelise Keating after 6 seasons starring as Annelise Keating in the hit series How to Get Away with Murder. Viola Davis bid farewell to a character she'd gotten to know intimately. "I'm feeling a little emotional and I didn't think that I would," she confessed in an interview with the Griot. "After 6 years, sometimes you're so exhausted and ready to go." She added that she was proud to subvert the stereotype that only white women can be the leading lady, and she deemed that the legacy of the role.
For however bittersweet the departure was, Davis had some pretty exciting projects to look forward to, including portraying former First Lady Michelle Obama in the series First Ladies. Jamie's Ministry of Food, a program inspired by the same-name 2008 TV series, with a tie-in book, partners with corporations and charities to provide hands-on food education, and is still going strong in the UK and Australia. "I have met Michelle Obama twice and we're certainly representing her beautifully," she told Refinery29. His line of cookware remains a hot ticket, selling 27 million pieces. There is something about her. And he is apparently the king of books. At one point only J.K. Rowling sold more non-fiction books in the UK. With 22 cookbooks now under his belt and more time on his hands, it seems likely that the Naked Chef has many more ideas for books, missions, and products up his sleeve. She's perfect. Davis also signed on to serve as an executive producer for the series, which delves into the personal and public lives of First Ladies throughout history. This is what Viola Davis would say to her younger self. With so many accomplishments already behind her, Viola Davis could easily rest on her laurels and enjoy a life of ease. But there's presumably still a lot that Davis wants to do in her career and in her personal life. But at this stage in life, what exactly would Davis say to her younger self? "I would tell her that she was enough," she stated. "Until recently, someone told me, maybe you need to let the little girl heal you at 54. We can't wait to see. Maybe you need to allow the little girl to be excited at the 54-year-old she gets to become," she revealed in a 2019 interview with People. Because actually, she did pretty good. Davis acknowledged just how extraordinary she is and that she should be proud of both the woman she is and the little girl she once was. "She was a survivor. She got out of it," she continued. "And it makes me look at my past completely differently when I see that.